This episode today is brought to you by Audible.com. One of the books I'm listening to right now is called Building a Story Brand, written by Donald Miller. The concept is how you can clarify your message so your customers will listen. Donald masterfully tells how we can utilize stories to sell, basically, how we can market our product and to make it that our customers recognize and connect with us. It's phenomenal, and I absolutely love this book. One of my friends, Stephen Hart, told me about it, and since then, I've been hooked. If you want to get a free download of this book, you can go to audibletrial.com/TSE. Again, audibletrial.com/TSE. I promise you, you will absolutely love it. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we're going to talk about sales management, guiding salespeople, motivating salespeople, encouraging sales folks, helping them to be able to get to the point where they're producing pretty well within your organizations. But sometimes we find that sales management role costs a lot. I mean, it costs a lot with your time. It also costs a lot if you are not doing it the right way and you find yourself with a high turnover, or the fact is that your sales reps are just not living to the level that they need to, and then you get get in trouble from the top, right? But today I'm going to point out 5 of the areas where sales managers typically have struggles and give you some thoughts and some ideas that can help you with that. The first area we're going to talk about is not having a clear expectation. This is for the manager as well as for the sales rep. When I work with clients, I go into an organization and sometimes you find that the sales teams they're just winging it. It's like this anarchist environment where there's no set leadership or no set guidance. Everyone is just going out, and the job that they have is just to go and eat. It's like this hunter-gatherer type of atmosphere. Go out, you go hunt, you bring back food. And it's like, that's all they give. That's all the direction they have. Don't know where to go to hunt, don't know what they need to do. So the sales reps find themselves going in circles. What happens in an environment like this is that there's turnover because no one feels there's a direction that they need to follow. So they just, they leave and they go find something else. So you have this high turnover rate. The other thing that happens without the clear direction, without having clarity from the manager or the sales rep being able to get that vision from the management. So obviously what happens is the lack of performance. I mean, sales are not closing, right? You probably have one guy who's been there for 5 years or 6 years and he is coasting, but he closes because of the fact that he has these relationships now. So that's all that he's riding on. And there is no need, it's like there's no sense of urgency, no sense of growth, no sense of motivation. It's just we're going with the status quo. And in a situation like that, an environment like that, you cannot thrive. The sales manager, she's been there for a while and she also gets a lot of the leads. And because of the fact that she closes them, then she gets more of the leads. So you have this environment where the new sales reps are not getting the proper training, not getting the proper coaching, not having a direction. So they're winging it, doing what they feel, and it's not working. So that's one of the areas. So if, as a sales manager, my advice to you is to make sure you have a clear objective, a clear understanding of who you go after. And in an introduction today, you heard me talk about Donald Miller's book, which is something that I recommend that every manager and every sales rep read. If you don't want to read it, be like me and listen to it. You can find it and you can get all the information in the show notes, but it's Donald Miller. The name of the book is Building a Story Brand. It would help you to focus and also give you the clarity you need to be able to perform so well in your role so that your clients know exactly what you do for them and how you can guide them. And it also helps you as an organization to be able to know how to help your sales reps to have that clear focus, to know where to go to hunt and to what to do and what to say and how to get the animals. So you listen, man, I'm telling you, man, I love it. I love this book. Check it out. The second area of issue that I find with sales management is that when they do start to focus on numbers, what tends to happen is that they focus on the vanity numbers. And vanity numbers, what I mean are those numbers that look sexy, that looks cool, but in actuality, they're not. And they're shallow. It's like the gold digger number, right? It's like all this stuff that looks good, but inside there's nothing in there, right? So what I mean by this vanity numbers, things like the number of calls you make. Now, please understand, when you make, watching the number of calls a sales rep make can help you to understand if he or she is picking up the phone. Yes. But to focus your sales measurement on just the number of calls, it's probably not the best thing to do. What I like to focus on is the results from that call. So maybe the amount of appointments that are made is more a meaningful number to look at as opposed to just the number of calls. That may be good for you and the sales rep to just the sales rep can see where he or she is performing. May say, well, I realize that if I make 15 calls, then I can get this. Well, that's their focus. Help them to use that to coach themselves, right? Not necessarily as you looking at that as a key number, because what's going to happen, that which you focus on is what the sales reps are going to deliver. If you're focusing on just on phone calls, I'm just going to dial for dollars, baby. I don't care what comes out of it. I just need to make the phone calls to look good, to be seen in the management eye as a top performing seller. And that, my friend, is not the best way of doing things. So focus on outcome-based approaches. My appointment sets, maybe the demonstrations that they give, proposal reviews, and obviously sales that are made. So focus on those things, outcomes, and not necessarily vanity numbers. The third area that I find that sales managers sometimes fall a little bit short of is when it comes towards managing or guiding their sales reps. They're more of a military type tyrannous approach where we micromanage. And I'm not going to lie, I've been in situations like this where it's just you want to be able to just make sure people do the job right. So it's almost like you're doing it yourself, right? And you're micromanaging them and you're watching everything that they do. What I like to encourage sales managers to do is that you focus on this, a principle that I learned. And the idea is that you teach correct principles and you let people govern themselves. Teach correct principles and let people govern themselves. And what I mean by that is, can I teach you what to do on a day-to-day basis? And how do I do that? That's through our one-on-one, which I'll get to in 1 second. But you got to have that time where you sit down with your sales reps, and I'll go over some more details and just 2 steps about that one. But you got to be able to give them some clear direction. You got to give them the principle. So say it is time management. You want to help your sales rep to be able to focus their time better. Well, you can go ahead and you can tell them to report to me every single minute of the day or every hour of the day what you're doing and what you're focusing on. And that's going to get old quick, fast, and in a minute, right? Because if you're in an environment like that where someone doesn't trust you or you feel they don't trust you, that you have to report everything, that it's like this militant type of cult, or, it's going to make you feel like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be a part of this. I want freedom, right? That's what we're in sales in the first place. We want to earn that unlimited amount of income. We want freedom. We want flexibility. So what if I was able to teach you the correct principle, like with time management, and to guide you, focus on your goals. You want to be able to get a down payment for your house. Now, how can you best get that approach? How can you best get that? And then guide you and help you understand time and help you understand how to utilize your time more effectively. And then allow you to set those plans and set those goals and then follow up with you weekly. You see, what's going to happen is that you help the sales rep set the consequences for their action. And then that sales rep then is able to be governed by those actions because he or she set those actions. A great book that will help you with this is also another favorite of mine. It's called A 12-Week Year. This is something everyone in management should read, should focus on. It's basically focusing your time on just 12 weeks. You can think of it like a quarter. But oftentimes we focus on the whole year, and I've talked about this and raved about this, but you can also check out that book in Audible. We have a link in the show notes as well. It's called A 12-Week Year. Phenomenal book. Love it. Love that one. So the fourth area that I find that sales manager challenges that they have is that they don't coach, which ties back to number 3. So the one-on-one coaching is vital for any sales rep. I don't care if you've been selling for 60 years or 6 days, right? You need to be able to have that guidance. And what I mean by coaching is not necessarily being nitpicking. It's where you sit down with the sales rep, you help her identify, or she was able to identify to you based on her performances on those key indicators that you're focusing on that we talked about earlier, things that actually move the needle, outcome-based key indicators. We focus on those and see where she's performing. So it might say, Amanda, you see that what's one of the areas based on your looking at those key performing metrics, what are some of the areas that you find that you have the most challenges with? Well, right now, I'm having the biggest difficulty with getting the appointment set. Tell me about that. And then you're able to guide her, and then you're able to help her. What are some things that you're doing right now that you feel is not working? What are some things you think you can try to do to improve? If she doesn't have any ideas, you give her some ideas and you give her some thoughts, and then you challenge her. How are you going to implement that? Well, I'm going to do this. Well, let's go. What are some of the approach? What are some of the metrics you're going to set? When you teach the correct principle, when you guide her, when you coach that individual, she has a better chance of performing. And when she does perform, she's going to feel that she was a part of that process, and she's going to be emboldened to continue to perform better, as opposed to not even coaching, as opposed to sitting her down and yelling at her for not making 15 calls every hour or whatever that number might be. So, don't focus on the vanity numbers. Do that coaching, do that guidance, and one-on-one, set apart a time, maybe 2 times a month or once a month, whatever it might be. I feel for newer reps, you want to focus more time with them. Perhaps it's shorter 30-minute coaching once a week until they get to a certain point where you can allow that individual to then govern themselves even more and to help guide them. Even your top performing sellers, they need coaching too. They need it because they need to be challenged and they don't need to be neglected by management. One of my friends, Alan, gave a great episode on that recently, and we'll link back to that in the show notes as well. All right, the fifth area, the final area, is training. Now, what I mean by this is oftentimes we find companies do training. Every management or every manager I speak with, they'll probably say they do some kind of training with their reps. And what that training really consists of is about the product. And maybe we need to clarify what training is. The sales rep do need to get a chance to learn about a product, do need to understand the product. And your job is to help them, to do so, give them some proper, information about it and so forth. Who is it for? Tie it back to your story brand. But here's the other important part is that they don't need to just know the product, but how the product solves a problem for your buyer. And what that comes down to, how you do that is sales training. You can have an internal sales training process, but you need to teach them how to sell. Even if they've sold for eons, you can still teach them something new. Teach them how to sell. You can bring someone in like myself or other many different sales trainers who do a fabulous job. You can find information on that online. You can easily research and do that. But when my clients bring me in, we have a 6-week training approach. And for 6 weeks, I meet with the sales team and I am able to help them to develop processes that can guide them to prospect and to convert and to build value and to close the deals. It's a process. These sales reps need to get trained. And some companies, they may have a sales team, a small sales team, a 5 sales rep, but they bring on new sales rep every once in a while. Since management has so much to do, she doesn't get a chance to focus and to train them on the selling side. They bring me in to say, Donald, let me get this person to sit down with you and to give them a training or put them in your next training group and train them, or even have them join TSE Hustlers League to give them the training skills they need to get them to the next level. So that's another approach. Find a way to get them training. And again, this doesn't mean you're a bad manager if you don't do the training. You can just outsource that. Focus on the things that you do best, which is to guide and to teach that vision and help the flock, the whole team, to perform well. Now, there's a bonus area that I'll tell you to do, a bonus thing, and this is really going back to that time management. I want to just harp on this a little bit more. You can find, one of the things that the sales managers I often see the challenge I have is that they are doing so much that they just get overwhelmed. They're working like 15-hour days, and they're going home, they're getting up, and, they're just stuck on the computer, stuck on their phone. What I recommend is that you read the 12-week year. The idea behind the book is that you can get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. And this is written by Brian Moran. And dude's a master at just outlining and showing you. You think about it. At the end of the year, at the last quarter, we find that many organizations begin to push then. It's like when you're running a race and you get to the end and they just try to give it their all. Imagine if you did that throughout the whole race. Imagine if you perform the way you perform in October, and September, October, November, those time of the years, but really the last quarter, October, November, December, people start to push everything. They throw everything out because they really want to get those good numbers. If you perform like that throughout the whole year, your sales will skyrocket. This is a principle behind this book. Focus only on just 12 weeks at a time. Set that goal. I've done Facebook Lives on this. I've talked about this. I am absolutely in love with this book, and that's my final principle to you. The challenging area I see for sales manager is that he or she don't have the proper planning. They have so much on their plate. And the sales reps are going to follow what you do, right? So if you're all over the place and don't have a plan, they're going to be all over the place and don't have a plan as well. So again, these 5 things that I'll share with you, they don't have a clear expectation, and how you can get that clear expectation. Also focusing on the vanity number. Vanity numbers won't help you. I encourage you to focus on the right numbers, outcome-based numbers. Teach correct principles, help them to govern themselves. Number 4 is one-on-one coaching. Number 5 is to train them, not just on product knowledge, but train them how that product can solve customers' problems, and also train them on how to sell. And then the bonus area is time management, being able to guide your sales rep. Check out the book, The 12-Week Year. Also check out Donald Miller's book, Building a Story Brand. All in all, I share this because I want to help you. I want you to be successful. I want you to be happy. But most importantly, I want you to go out each and every day and do big things.